joining us, Joy. So first of all, we just wanted to get everyone in the room really to talk about some new training we've got coming up, because I expect, Joy, you're aware of the training that the housing campaigning project delivered last year. But we're just trying to move this up a scale really. And so we're looking for people, partners and groups to work with. So it's more focused training. So we did some advocacy training last year, but that was quite general. And so this advocacy training that we've got planned is much more focused on housing campaigning. And we're really setting up a whole, in a way, like a program to help people with their housing campaigning. And so the organization who's going to be delivering this, and it's 2 sessions, one's going to be 90 minutes and one's 60 minutes. And we've got some areas they're really going to focus on about moving forward with advocacy. And I'm just going to explain again, because I really don't like the word advocacy because it's used so many times and it confuses people. And I prefer the word in this context as confidence building. I'm really kind of empowering people so they know how to move forward and campaign for better housing for their service user groups, and making sure they know how to reach and connect with people who perhaps are in the local councils or other organisations and really going to impact and make change. So that's why we're looking for groups to work with, because this isn't so much like training where you come to it and then off you go and we kind of hope you do well. This is more like working with people and groups, so you can come back to us. You might say, oh, I don't understand this part, and we can kind of clarify, or we can say, how are you getting on? So we've also built, I've built a website, because before all our training was in the Ealing and Hounslow CVS website, and it was a little bit tricky for people to get to if they didn't know it was there. So I built this website that we're going to launch to the local communities in Ealing and Hounslow. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to share the screen with you, Joy. I don't know if you've seen it. Because this website is how you're going to be able to move on once you complete the training. We're then kind of giving you a platform that you'll be able to, and there's going to be some training on Twitter, because once you get on Twitter, it's amazing the impact as it has, because it's really hard for the councils to ignore. And I've been looking at some of the tricks that other housing campaigners have been using, and we can piggyback on them, and we can create our own noise on Twitter to make sure that the council respond to us and changes are made, because that's really the purpose of this. Because we've had training year 1, but we're now thinking, okay, we want to move to the next stage. We want to make some impact. We want specific results. And, you know, Joy, I remember one thing you said in a meeting about how you spoke to the council, and some of your service users were in accommodation where a lot of children with special needs were sharing rooms. And, you know, that's really tricky when you've got special needs children. And I remember they said to you, and I couldn't believe actually, that they said, put a curtain up to partition the room. And I was like, oh my God, that is terrible. Is that, and I'm sure they weren't trying to, you know, they weren't just dismissing, but they were trying to give practical advice.
Yeah.
And so
shows that they don't understand special needs at all.
No, they don't understand. And I'm thinking, you know, something like that, once you start using Twitter and perhaps show some pictures of overcrowded accommodation, and you start kind of tweeting, oh, thanks, here's Shameen, thanks, Irfan. Just going to let Shameen in. yeah, can make a real difference. And so this is why we're doing some training about for advocacy, followed by some sessions with some other housing campaigning groups to talk about real life examples that you can piggyback, recreate on them, and then you'll be able to use do the hashtag on the Pitch West London Twitter, and that creates more and more noise on that, and it gets the momentum going for campaigns. And once you start building on the hashtag, the other organizations will be brought into the website and the Twitter feed and see the website, and it all kind of creates more and more noise. Because to cut a long story short, that is what we want to do now. We want to make some noise with our campaigning, and we want to see some results. And yeah, I think I've built the website that's going to help do that. So I'm just going to. Yeah.
Morning, Shamim.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, Shamim.
Can you hear us?
Morning, yeah, I can join you. I mean, I can hear you. Sorry, my camera's not working. I was trying to get it to work and it's not working. So if you don't mind, I'll leave it off for the moment.
Yeah, no worries.
So just to give some background kind of where we are. So our project is funded for 2 years by the Trust for Life. Now, they would like us, as Ealing House Secrets, we're an infrastructure organisation. So we don't do the frontline kind of campaigning, going out there, attending those meetings, advocating for individual services. We work with groups. Our kind of role in this current project is to help develop the groups in Ealing so they can be empowered to do that campaigning. Now, the way that, so we've done obviously the first year of the project, we're coming, we're coming past the 18-month mark of the second year, we're coming towards the end of the project. Now, the purpose of this training is to be able to impart enough skills and specialist knowledge skills towards that confidence building and that advocacy, so you can actually go out and then use some of those techniques, for your service users to get those results. So the end goal that we're looking for is that ideally you come along, you do the training, we're paying for the training. So this is not training that's being offered out to the whole sector, it's being offered out to selected groups here. So we're paying for this training, and then we are going to hopefully run the training and then use the next 6 months after that to track some of the outcomes that you've received for your service users. So through case studies, through information, through successful things that you had working with your individual service users. So there is a plan afterwards, and obviously the focus is still around the BAME housing related issues. It's not so much around the kind of the overcrowding, the difficulty that people have with dealing with allocations, maybe the communication barriers. So much of the work that we probably do is not in English. You probably communicate to your service users in your own languages. So I think there's an element of trying to help those kind of individual BAME service users navigate the housing environment, plus then using the skills that you've got on top of that to navigate through the complexities of those housing structures that are here in Ealing. And what the plan ideally is at the end of it is that we have a good solid set of results that demonstrate from you guys that you've gone on this training and that you've been able to put in the actual get those results for those services. So some kind of real life case examples, and obviously the stuff that's been created in the website, the resources, they've been built up over a period of time. They're quite substantial and there's quite a lot of good stuff there, but there's going to be things that what we'd like you to do, as Toby said, with the hashtag, to be able to gain more traction and more visibility for the specific issues that we're looking to advocate on. But yeah, that was kind of the background. I think you should go to the website.
Yeah. Thanks for giving a bit of background. I tend to just go straight in and so yeah, I'm just going to share the website now. Why is that not letting me click on there?
So I think it's kind of good while we're all here to also maybe after we've had a look at the website, if we have a discussion around the kind of
Definitely.
housing issues that you might encounter, typically what the kind of, blocks are and all of those things.
Now, why has that just frozen? Right. Oh, look, everyone's completely frozen.
Yeah.
Nice. Circle of death now. Oh. Are you still there, Joy?
Yes, I am. I thought it would. I've just put my camera up while you're sharing.
Yeah, sure. I've managed to freeze the screen.
The council is not, equipped or developed or empathetic enough to deal with it. I think it's interesting because there's so many people in these situations that are coming to, might be coming to, groups like yourself to speak to you about this is what's going on, and you might sometimes feel powerless other than just writing that email, sending that, email or letter to the local council or something. How do we get beyond that? That's what we want to get to. Like, how do we get someone to take someone's matter seriously? So you have the skills to say, okay, I need to have this kind of strategy in place to forward this person's case to be able to get some kind of good results at the end of it. And the results can be quite broad. They're not necessarily always going to be, a family of 7 living in a 1-bedroom house now moved to a 3 or 4 bedroom. There's not those kind of results. I think what we're looking at is how can we advocate to also improve, some of the processes and the systems that we're going through.
Berthan's making some really good points. So I'm just moving the laptop closer so you can make sure you can hear him.
So and also like improving those processes and those systems. So for example, if you found that you used one method where you sent a letter or an email, you had some kind of in-person meeting with a particular case type, then you can share it with your colleagues in the network and go, but if this really worked, this is a good avenue. Maybe these are other things that we can explore as well. So just to like, so it's not just your own individuals, always supporting each other as well on sharing that information that we're learning from it.
So this is the website, and I'm going to launch this in the next couple of weeks when it is fully populated. And I'm going to be sharing this on like Facebook sites like Ealing and Northfield Friends, South Hall Friends, and putting it out there to make sure that it reaches people, residents that might find it useful, or perhaps there might be smaller groups or people who want to form groups. So I'm going to be promoting it on those sorts of neighborhood websites. But I'll just run through what's here. So I've designed it actually for use on a phone, because that's how most people look at things nowadays. And I've tried to make it a lot more. So it's called Pitch, People Improving Together Community Housing. And so here will be, for example, click on that and you just want advice. So here I'm going to populate here about different organizations that you can contact for housing advice.
Just one thing here, so you put there, I just want to pick that up. We've got community consultation. Local authorities will always make a decision and afterwards will say, oh, hold on a second, we didn't know about this. And they go, well, we consulted. I said, we told you all the information, it was all out there. But the point is that if something particularly affects your service user, and and we're talking about BAME people, if English isn't their first language, they're not going to know how to engage in those consultation processes. So a role for you guys here will be to actually, educate on how those consultation processes work, so they know they have their voice heard. We always hear so much from being a council. We've consulted, and a decision was made.
Oh God, it drives me mad.
And then all of a sudden it's like, what?
And don't forget that we still run the community advisory board meetings. So for example, if service users are talking about consultations and they realize they haven't happened, well, they're more than welcome to come along to meetings where we thankfully do have the council at least at the table, but they do spin us all these lies and saying, oh no, it is going to happen. So what's good about it is there is follow-up to get that conversation going and keep banging on the council's door. And the more we do that and the more noise we make, they realise that they can't keep spinning these lies of, oh, we've consulted, oh, you know, we've done this, we've done that. So, yeah.
And the thing is that, like, for example, you may have something, you know, happening in Southall. Southall is a good example. You may have something happening in Southall, and they go, oh, we're thinking of doing this, you know, and then you'll look at, you know, the response to the consultation, and you'll see, well, none of these people live in Southall. You know, have you spoken to people in Southall? Have you spoken to people in that neighbourhood? Have you spoken to the people, you know, the people's, you know, whose families are there? And it's like, usually, sometimes in those kinds of areas, for example, Southall, where you've got those pockets of BAME people who aren't necessarily going to take notice of a local consultation, it's that, you know, it's about, you know, being able to get that local voice into those local decisions, you know, around housing, not just something's happening in Southall, but people who live in Common and make the decision. It's crazy.
So other areas of the website, if residents or groups want to join other housing campaigning groups, or perhaps start your own group, and that will signpost back to us and give information here. Build your confidence, which is about advocacy, confidence building, and also develop your skills, which will link through. I just click on that one because I've populated that, to all the training. So for example, I haven't linked it yet, but this will go through to all our training videos. So basically this site is a one-stop shop for anyone who either wants advice about housing, wants to connect to other people, wants to start their own campaigning. And also it's a site to really connect to others. There's a chat room. And also it's really going to be something to inspire people, because if we come down to here, so I've got some pictures here. Now, this is where I'm thinking you don't have to have your photo here, but this is where ideally I'd like pictures of people from groups who have carried out this advocacy training and follow-up training to really inspire them. So for example, here it would have a picture of Joy, and it will say, you know, I'm Joy from PES. I carried out the training. I found it really useful. It's really inspired me. I've started campaigning. And then it could just link through to some of the tweets, the Twitter site, the PES Twitter site, if you've got one, where I can set that up. And so really it's all about inspiring people to that they connect with something, or it might have picture of Amal here and activities that she's done with her local community. So people will see that and they think, oh, that's great what she's doing. Oh, you know, I'm going to look at some housing campaigning too, or someone might get in touch with you. But it's all about building momentum and snowballing, because once you're on here and you've shown some activity that you've done, that people are going to build on it. Because this is the other thing that I'm trying to do is, for example, organizations like SHAC, Social Housing Action Campaign, they've done some really good housing campaigning, very simple ones, a lot of activity on Twitter to the local council. And that's where we don't need to recreate the wheel here, because a lot of other housing campaigning groups have already set up campaigns, and it's simple for us to say, oh, I really like what they've done there. Oh yeah, they contacted those people, and you can see that that made a difference. You might think, oh, we're going to do something similar in Ealing, or we're going to do something similar in Hounslow. Just tweak it a bit. We don't need to kind of get that sort of momentum to start, you know, when people think, oh, where should I start campaigning? There's all the ideas out there, and as we've connected to other groups, we know exactly how to, and it's not a big first step. You might think, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to just do a few tweets. You might spend 20 minutes on it, and then you've already made your first move forward in terms of campaigning, because you're making noise and you're knocking on the door of the council. And it's like planting those seeds, because someone else might see it and think, okay, I'm going to tweet that person at the council as well. So it's all about just a little bit of nurturing the seeds, and then the campaigns blossom. And so I've got penciled in as well some follow-up campaigns from Social Housing Action Campaign and also Hassle, which is Housing Action Southwark and Lambeth. They've done some great activity. And then, of course, I will be doing some Twitter sessions, just a half-hour Twitter sessions, and giving practical help to show people if they're not confident with Twitter, how to use it, how to set up their own accounts, how to do the hashtag. And once we get that hashtag, I've already set up let's just have a look here, help promote us is already a link to our own, so this will be the hashtag to use, and then anything you do, so I've already set up a Twitter account, but anything you do on your own Twitter sites, because you use that hashtag, we'll be able to see it. And so we'll be able to create momentum. More people will know about this site. More people will join whatever campaigning issue you decide to use, and it will snowball. So all we're asking really from, in return for offering you this training and being part of this initiative, is over the next 6 months, so October to March, we're asking each group who goes on the training to do 12 tweets, so 2 a month, 6 emails to the council, I say the council or anyone else you'd like to influence, and then blind copy us in, and also 2 1-minute videos recorded on a phone. And that doesn't mean you have to edit it, because I can do all that. So it doesn't have to be all glossy. So literally you could go up to a resident and say, you know, can you tell me about your housing conditions at the moment? What is it, you know, how can you tell me about your overcrowded conditions? They might show you into the house or something, show you. It's a very simple, basically you're holding the phone there and just doing a very quick video, and then I can edit it if need be and help you with all that. Because, and the reason we're asking you to do that is because then you've got something to attach to. We can do a little video, so when you do your tweets, you know, how can the council ignore if you say this is the evidence, this is what the person says, and it just really creates much more impact by having those little. So it's just 2 1-minute videos, and then we're going to ask everyone who takes part in this to do a questionnaire at the end of it, which is very easy, about the value of the training we've given. And then just 300 words, so a couple of paragraphs on your future plans for housing campaigning. So at the end of March, so just looking back, you might say, oh, you know, we've had a really great response. We've the council made some changes, or this particular client, that we had a great result. So because of that, you know, moving forward, we'd like to do X, Y, and Z. So yeah, just 300 words on how you'd like things to move forward. The other thing I just wanted to show you that is going to be on this website as well is, if you're interested, and I definitely recommend it, is another organization who I've connected with, and they are called the High Trees Group, and they are in South London. Now, they have put together a toolbox, which is also going to be on the Pitch West London website. And it's a very interesting concept. It's brand new. Well, it's brand new to me, and it's called community organizing. And this basically is about mapping where power lies. So if you think about, you know, some people might think, oh, you know, why are we going to campaign? Council never listen to us. They never make any changes. We don't have any power. We're just little, you know, ants, and they tread on us. Well, this course and the toolbox, which is going to be, is all about breaking it down and mapping where power and influence lies. So I can get people on this course if they want to do it, and I'll hopefully do it myself on Friday, 10th of December. It's in person. They do it in a playground where they've got a community centre. And it's all about really thinking, breaking it down. Okay, we want to change, and inspiring people to campaign, because they might think, you know, where does the power lie? Where is the power balance? How can we take it back through community organizing? So it's a really interesting initiative, just in the fact that you're mapping where power is and how you can readdress that balance to make sure that you motivate people to campaign and obtain the end result with your campaigning. Because if you map where the power is and you chip away at the people who can make changes and differences, then that's a really valuable thing to know. So that is the end of me rabbiting on. And so it'd be just really interesting to get some feedback from you all about what you think of this opportunity we're offering, and also to hear about particular housing issues that you and your service users are facing, and perhaps things that you might, particular issues you might want to campaign on through this website. Yeah. So who'd like to go first and tell me what they think of? Joy, do you want to tell me what you think of our offering? Is this something that sounds appealing to you? And yeah, what do you think?
Well, actually, I'm really interested in this. While you was talking, I felt there's so much that this can do to help our families. I mean, it's well known that families of children with special needs, especially those with hidden disabilities, are housing, you know, they're basically ignored for housing. And I think this is a really, really good opportunity to try and help our families. I mean, just the other day, one of our families was only moved because even though she was asking for about 3 years, because they were living in such awful conditions, the ceiling, not the ceiling, the wall caved in because there were leaks. And even though she'd been reporting, saying how upsetting it was for her son, who has autism, he developed asthma because of the conditions that the place was in, and they only moved her because the wall caved in. And you know, dangerous conditions that they're living as well. So I think what you're doing here is I think it's really exciting, actually. I'd like to be able to be the one that can help campaign for our families, because I do see it a lot. We one of the biggest issues we have with families that register with us is housing. So I'm definitely on board with this, if you know, if it's possible. I really think that it's a chance that we can get the council to listen and maybe do something about it.
Brilliant, that's good. And what do you think about where the outputs we're asking people to do over the following 6 months? Do you think they're reasonable? So
yeah, I do. I mean, it's only 300 words writing about what was, you know, how it's been over the 6 months from October to March, and what future plans are. So yeah, definitely. And also, I think what else did you mention? I did write it down.
I'll share it all by
meetings.
email. And two 1-minute videos recorded showing, you know, perhaps speaking to your service users.
Yeah, I've got plenty of families that will want to speak on a 1-minute video. So yeah, that would be no problem. I think the 2 meetings a month might be hard for me, but I would definitely try. I mean, obviously, if you give me enough notice.
No, there's no meetings. It's
right. Oh, I thought you said 2 meetings a month.
No, 12 tweets over the 6 months, two tweets a month.
Oh, it's 2 tweets. Sorry.
Yeah. So the only thing we're asking you to do is attend the training. So that's going to be the advocacy training. So that's the 90-minute session and a 60-minute session. And then there's follow-up from the other campaigning groups, the social housing action campaign. That's an hour session. and then another one from HASL, another hour, and then a half hour about Twitter, how to use it. So all in all, I think it's about 5 hours in terms of the training. Let me think, 1, 2, 3, yeah, about, and that's it. And then you can do all the tweets and the emails and the videos in your own time. So there's no other time commitment apart from that.
Yeah. Well, I've never tweeted before. Don't have a Twitter account, so that would be all new to me. But
Really
yeah.
easy. Yeah.
Tamima, how does that sound?
Great. I'm happy to do this. Happy to do this. I think it's a great opportunity, as I said, for our families. They do need help and they are being ignored. So anything that, you know, we can do to campaign and help highlight their issues. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, what about you, Shamim? What sort of issues are you dealing with at Hestia? I mean, God, you must have such a wide range of housing issues.
Yeah, I mean, we've got, yeah, there are sort of quite a different sort of a range of issues, but we more or less look for, apart from the refuge side of it, we've got the emergency accommodation and sort of other sort of accommodation that's needed sort of immediately for clients that are coming into the service. So, you know, you might have no recourse to public funds who's coming in and, you know, there's nothing to offer support. So we sort of rely and argue the client's case with social care or with housing or whoever, you know, the statutory agencies involved with the clients. But I mean, I've been listening to what you're saying, but I think your side of the campaigning, I think would be better with our refuge managers, because I'm outreach. I've sort of managed about 6 outreach services.
Okay.
So I manage the 2 floating support, Ealing and Harrow. I manage the complex needs project in Ealing, Harrow and Slough, and I manage the IDFA service in Harrow. So we're more outreach, and of course we you know we use the service, and I would love to be part of it. But I think that the refuge manager, who is Helen Sweeney, would be better placed to actually do the campaigning because she's more into the housing side of it.
Okay, that's great. Well, would you be able to introduce me to her and then I'll have another conversation with her? Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, to have someone whose role is more specific to a particular area, and I'm sure she'd have some really sort of powerful campaigning that she could deliver by way of her being in a refuge. So yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind being in the background, be a part of, you know, of the, you know, the group if you want me to be. I mean, it is interesting, and it will help me to understand, you know, what we're doing with the housing issues with our clients as well. I mean, so far it's given me a little bit of insight. I've actually looked at your website while you were scrolling, and it is quite interesting. Actually, it gives you a little bit more of insight into what is available.
Cool. I was just thinking we've got another session later this week, so maybe if you're able to send me Helen's email, then I can contact her today, actually invite her to the session. It's on Friday, isn't it, Evan? So if you could do that, that would be great.
Okay.
So what about you?
Helen Sweeney is on leave for 3 weeks, so I'm covering her patch at the moment. If you want me to come in, if it's something different from what it is today, I don't mind.
Oh no, it's exactly the same. Well, no, well, it's great that you've been able to attend today, and yeah, if you're able to, when she gets back from, what's the date she gets back?
She's coming back, I think she's landing back here on the 11th, so she should be working the Monday following that. So.
Oh, so that's fine. She'll still be back in time for the training. Yeah, because it's on the 15th, the first session, so that's good.
She should be back on the 13th.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that'd be great if yeah, you can chat to her when she gets back, and we can get Helen to attend the training. That'd be really good.
Mm-hmm.
So what about you, Shamaki? How does this all sound to you? Does it sound?
Well, I came because for 2 reasons. The first one is that So GOSAD also wear different hats. So I did a research on the impact of COVID-19 on even BME communities. I don't know if you read that. Yeah. So I've taken a kind of responsibility to build capacity of 6 organizations. So one of the things that I put on, we had a plan is I'll be giving a training on campaigning and doing community research. So campaigning around different things. So when I saw this, because what I'm trying to do also is I'm trying to connect these groups to the CVS. Because I know the CVS has changed. So I want them to really engage with the CVS and get all this kind of stuff. So the 6 organizations, they do different things at the BME led. And so one of the issues that I think is going to be a big campaign that we're planning is community spaces for small organizations. So one of the organizations, which is Afro-Caribbean organization, from 1970, they've been moved about 10 times. And some of the accommodation they were using belong to the council, and they've just been asked to leave without even risk assessment done and things like that. So that was one area. And then, because you have GOSAD, you have Hadia, you have even Somali Agriculture Association, you have the Tamil Community Center, you have the Afro-Caribbean organization. So what I've done with them is I got them some funding to deliver advice. So just with GOSAD alone, so GOSAD has got almost more than 400 successful cases with housing just in the last, I would say, 1 year. And within that, campaigns have been done in the past. So one of the campaigns we did as an organization through GOSAD is, I don't know if you know, most of you will be, so when it comes to advice, you will call somebody from Housing Benefit and you finish with them and you want to speak to, talk about council tax. They say, no, you have to call another number. So throughout our campaign, that changed. So now, the person can move into the other call. So I think it's a good idea, but I think also what needs to happen now, which can make this very interesting, is if you can have a section there about experiences or case studies from others. I know if there's something over there, because I think sometimes when people just have training, you find that people will say maybe will volunteer to do the training, and then that's lost. The person gets a job somewhere, that's goes.
I think from your 6 organization, I think we probably need one staff member who can, or even yourself, who can kind of communicate this back and then bring back into the fold.
Yeah, actually what I want is I want them to bring on one person from each organization to do this training. And then I want them to identify 1 or 2 housing issues within the organization that they can campaign on. But what I'm looking forward also is work with the CVS to see how this can grow, because one of the things which I put in my report is that for me, capacity building is not just training and giving people maybe policies to adapt and all that. For me, it should be more ingrained and practical, So also, as you know, a lot of organizations, sometimes when they take part in this kind of thing, they expect to be paid, some funds or something. But actually, I'm trying to flip the coin. So for them to benefit from the CVS, but knowing that CVS support will be ongoing, So that's what I want to them. My aim is to make sure that they engage, because in the community network is doing something different. I think the CVS is, I'll be honest, previously we didn't feel the kind of work that we're doing, but now since it become even enhanced law, there's a lot of positives, and all these organizations, I think they need to connect to the CVS, and something like this for me is something that So for me, for example, I'm looking at that website, and I see it like it being there for the next 10, 15 years, because housing is a big issue. I mean, I'm kind of a senior, how can I say, senior caseworker. So I've got about 4 organizations. When the cases are really difficult, I take them. And even this Thursday, I have a meeting with one of the MPs, I think James. He contacted me, he wanted to know about housing stuff.
James Murray,
yeah. So the thing is, just housing alone. I mean, even if you look at the report I did, so you had a family of 3 sisters. Their father passed away with COVID, frontline worker. and none of the sisters claim welfare, and they were misled to think that they can succeed the property. Now, the Locality Act 2011 doesn't allow that, because when they moved into the property, it was after that period. So the issue of succession actually doesn't go to the children. Imagine somebody was a boyfriend or girlfriend, that person has lived with you for 12 months or more. Your boyfriend or girlfriend has got more rights to succeed than your children. So it's quite, I mean, and you can imagine also how many other kids has it affected. Like I think Joy talked about special needs. We've won a lot of cases just by, I mean, we had a family who were put in a because this social work was really, I think, she just wanted to do her work quickly. So she put them in a house where there's no window, complete no window, 2 kids with special needs, you know. But luckily we removed them same night, we put them in a hotel. So it was actually paid for the hotel, but then the next day they found a place. So there's a lot of cases, and I think you mentioned earlier on, also there's issue around systems. Even if I talk about consultation, there's actually a consultation that's on Ealing's website about private tenants.
Yes.
You've seen that one?
Yeah.
Now, the assumption is that they think everybody's digital. You have now also staff around the Race Commission. They expect people to go online and give their opinion. And they're going to produce a document at the end of this, Race Equality Commission report. And for me, I think it's going to be a whitewash, because one of the conditions they put there is that the council won't be obliged to, to follow all the recommendations, So
They won't be obliged.
You won't be obliged. It doesn't make any sense. So for me, we could have a campaign actually looking at whatever recommendation comes about housing, that in Ealing, we actually push, that is put into their policies. You get my point?
Yeah.
So it has to be something really practical.
Yeah.
And also, my other idea I can share is that we need to find, so those people that are being affected, to empower them so they can talk.
Yeah.
So let's say there's a family with children with special needs, for example. So put them in a group, empower them, and they can do their own. So it doesn't just have to be the organization.
Yeah, no, exactly.
You get the point?
Yeah.
And that's the reason I came today, just to, because in Ealing for too long, I mean, there's capacity building, there's training. I think just go on the sideways.
Yeah.
But something like this, I mean, this is people's. We had a family. We found out again to the report living in a shed. They're more than slaves, So because they didn't have status, the person who's using the family to do the person's wife was doing the housework, and the husband was doing building work for this person, and living in a shed with the kids under 5 years old. And the reason when we discovered them was when we were taking food during COVID. So one of the volunteers discovered people living in a shed, and then they go a house because they didn't have vehicles for public funds. But luckily the council were able to negotiate with them through social services, and the family were given, and now they're getting immigration support. So housing is a huge, and I don't know if you know this. If you go to Locator, now you have another system the housing solution team are using that nobody knows about. A new system hasn't been advertised properly. So people are told just go to the website, It's called something Pathfind or something. Completely new. So the housing solution team uses that to assess people who are applying, people who are homeless. Now, somebody has to know how to, already we know, for example, Locator or Mayacam, people are struggling to access because they are digitally excluded. And then people are supposed to go through this website. Then after that, they have to go into Locator. So even that digital support in terms of housing is a big, big issue.
I think there's so much going on here. I think it's really good. I'm really glad that you come today. I think what we need to do is, the second session that we've got set up on Friday, because obviously I think we're doing because our project runs in Ealing and Hounslow. So this is for anyone who's working with services and I'm finding a way to speak to groups that work in Hounslow. I think if we could share the details for the Friday session to as many of your groups as possible.
Actually, we work in, Coventry, we work in Hounslow. We have a mental health project in Hounslow, yeah. So it's similar, actually. But Hounslow is slightly better. It's a bit better.
So I think what we do, if we can share, I don't know how you want to do, share details or send the details over, but if we can get as many of your potential trainees to come.
Yeah.
to the
Well, I'll
session on
send you the
Friday.
Friday's details, and you can just send it on to
Yeah.
anyone who you think might be interested. They can either come. Well, it's great if they can come in person. If not, they can just email me, and I'll
Yeah,
They
as I said,
can
for me, I just wanted to connect to the CVS.
Yeah.
I think
I need to be plugged in, and that's what I was talking to Ian, is that the CVS, you know, is playing a different role at the moment. And I want that because, I mean, I've been in the area for a while, so I know the deficiencies in different areas. So we have these groups that really want support,
Yeah.
and I think being plugged into CVS will help them. And you guys can identify new needs.
Yeah.
And they're able to bring in funding
Yeah.
to support them.
I think we need to connect with,
Yeah.
I don't know which the names of the groups are, so we can be able to identify them.
It's actually in the report. I don't know if you look at the report.
Yeah. So we need to, I think we need to get in contact with them as quickly as possible so we can get them onto this
Yeah.
ASAP. I think the stuff that's going on there needs to be captured so we can make a good argument to the funder at the end of the project to say there's still a big housing need in Ealing. The groups can then go off and apply to the funder themselves. And then we're part of this project.
Actually, we were going to apply to TF transfer London. I've got one organization with them funding, and another one just ended TFL funding to do a campaign around housing.
Yeah.
But then maybe something we can have a chat another time.
Yeah.
Some kind of consortium.
Yeah.
Work to be done. Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to wrap it up for you guys,
Yeah.
and Joy, let you go back to Canvas Sand. So thank you very much for joining us today. I'm really pleased that you're interested in this, and we can get some good results happening. And Shameen, thank you very much for joining as well.
Thank you.
If you can contact Helen when she's back, but I'll send you a follow-up email anyway, Shameen. But thank you very much for joining.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
Take care,
you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.